Hello and welcome to the 24th, fifth day of our 100-day challenge. Today we are going to continue with our geography subsection and we'll be taking up the physical and world geography with few questions on Indian geography. So after these completion of these 5 days of physical and world geography, we'll mainly focus on Indian geography in the remaining 5 days of our 100-day challenge for the geography subsection. So we have already, you can find all these MCQs on the website, you can download them, they are absolutely free and you can listen to these explanations on our YouTube channel. And we have covered the modern Indian history and the polity subsections in our 20 lectures, 10 lectures for modern Indian history and 10 for polity, and we are continuing with the geography subsection. So let's begin with today's challenge. Today's topics are the groundnut production in India, the freshwater distribution all over the world, the ratio, the proportion of water distribution in water bodies like glaciers and lakes and rivers and underground water and their proportions, the continental drift theory, and dryland farming, especially in context of India, and what are the pros and cons of dryland farming, and minor forest produce versus major forest produce, what is the difference, and what are the characteristics of minor forest produce. Manganese, the manganese use of manganese, and Jowar crop, western disturbance. We have already taken up the MCQs regarding western disturbance and the tropical and temperate cyclonic movements. So this is in continuation with the same concept of western disturbance. This is a different MCQ from what we have discussed already. And the tribes in India, different tribes, and we have taken up the this question regarding the tribal rights in our polity subsection also. If you remember about the particularly vulnerable tribal groups, a subsection of scheduled tribes. And the last one is the coal properties. The properties of coal, especially the coal that is being found in India. We have taken up a similar MCQ regarding the Gondwana land and what kind of coal is found in India. So if you want to revise these 10 topics, you can pause the video, read about these 10 topics, then we'll continue with the this challenge. And sources that we have referred for these topics are G.C. Leong and Fundamental Geography of NCRT, the Fundamentals of Physical Geography. So you can refer to any standard material. So let's begin with the first challenge of today. The question is, which of the following is true about the dry land farming in India? So it's about the dry land farming and the crops associated with the dry land farming. It faces soil erosion hazard. Moong and bajra are among the dryland crops. Jute and sugarcane are also sown in these areas. So it faces the soil erosion hazard. This is not correct because soil erosion hazard is being faced by those lands which are having a high degree of rainfall or a high degree of other kind of physical erosion like high wind speed. So this soil erosion is not associated with the dryland farming and it has minimal erosion characteristic because of low amount of rainfall, less than 75 mm per year. So that's this dryland farming is not characterized by the heavy soil erosion. So first option is wrong. Moong, bajra, these are the crops. Cereal crops are also there in this dryland farming. Dryland farming utilizes the production of such type of crops. While jute, sugarcane, and the crops like rice, they need a high degree of rainfall, and they are rain-fed crops. They are not suitable for dryland farming. So obviously the third option is also wrong. First is wrong, third is wrong, while second is correct. So answer would be B, 2 only. Let's read the explanation. Uh, in India, the dryland farming is largely confined to the regions having annual rainfall less than 75 centimeters. So less than 75 centimeters rainfall is characterized as the dryland, and dryland farming, the farming which is done on these lands. These regions grow hardy and drought-resistant crops such as ragi, bajra, moong, gram. So the chana is also a dryland crop. It can be sown there. Gore, the fodder crops, and basically the green produce of these dryland farm crops is utilized as the fodder crop for the cattle. The practice various measures of soil moisture conservation and rainwater harvesting. So they need to conserve the moisture, and in this context, the drip irrigation and sprinkler irrigation is now being practiced in the arid areas. So UPSC is framing the questions, and in the 2016 or 17 they asked the question regarding this drip and sprinkler irrigation, and it was a very confusing question. But if you have the conceptual clarity regarding what problems are being faced by these dry lands, you'll be able to answer these type of questions. So these dry lands obviously follow the practice of conserving soil and rainwater harvesting. On the other hand, in wetland farming, the excessive rainfall is there, and wetland crops like rice and sugarcane and jute are cultivated there. So in wetland farming, the rainfall is in excess of soil moisture requirement of the plant during any region season. Such seasons may face flood, soil erosion. So soil erosion and flood is there because of heavy rainfall in that particular rainfall season. These areas grow various water intensive crops such as rice, jute, sugarcane. So in the Bay of Bengal's vicinity, this jute is cultivated, and rice is also cultivated in Bengal. So they are rain-fed crops, and they require high degree of water for their cultivation. And they practice aquaculture in freshwater bodies also because of the rainfall association. So we have learned that dryland farming in India is particularly confined to those areas which has rainfall less than 75 centimeters, and the crops associated with the dryland farming are moong and bajra. Moong, bajra, sorghum, gram, this ragi and gaur. So these are the fodder crops also, and they utilize the dry lands, utilize the soil moisture conservation techniques such as drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation, and rainwater harvesting. Let's move on to the question number 2. Consider the following statements. The tendu leaves are minor forest leaves, fruits, and vegetables, and even animal obtained products are categorized as the minor forest produce. Only the things like wood and social forestry, the whole tree is associated as is considered as a major forest produce. So wood is the major forest produce, while other things including bamboo also is now considered as a minor forest produce. So this clarifies all the doubts associated here. Tendu leaves are minor forest produce. This is correct. Tendu leaves are minor forest produce, not the major. Vegetables obtained from forest constitute the major forest produce. This is wrong because vegetables, even animal produces obtained from forest, they are characterized again as a minor forest produce. Mostly the wood and social forestry is associated with the major forest produce. So second option is wrong. First option is correct, and this is another important classification, and this is particularly in context of asking in the context of Indian forests. So the legislations say that major forest produce comprise of pulpwood, sandalwood, social forestry that include fuel and timber as well. So, but the minor forest produce include the items such as tamarind, curry leaves, tendu leaves, and galnut, cane, soap nut, tree moss, and bamboo. Bamboo and tendu leaves are now minor forest produce. So minor forest produce includes obtained all the products obtainable from the forest other than the wood, and the comprises of vegetable and animal origins also. So do not be confused about the major and minor forest produce. If they are listing you the leaves, the fruits, the vegetables, these are all minor produces, while major forest produce would be like pulpwood and sandalwood, social forestry, timber for the fuel. These are anything which is wood, and which is going towards the bigger size like social forestry, the whole plant. That is the major forest produce, and other things are like tendu leaves and bamboo. These are the minor forest producers. So this was one important question regarding the forest producers. Now let's move on to question number 3. Consider the following statements in context of jor, which is sorghum, cereal crop, and this asking about this. This is actually it is cultivated in again in the areas which are deficient in rainfall. So first option is Uttar Pradesh alone produces more than half of the total jor production of the country. This is wrong. They are basically cultivated in peninsular India, including the Maharashtra, Karnataka, these kind of states, not the Uttar Pradesh. So Maharashtra is, I think, is the leading producer of this sorghum jor. So first option is wrong. It is sown in both Kharif and Rabi season in southern states. This statement is correct because it is a crop of both the seasons. And let's read the explanation. Maharashtra alone produces more than half of the total jar production of the country. Other leading producer states of jar are Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. So basically those states of peninsular India, this jar is produced. It is sown in both Kharif and Rabi seasons in southern states, but it is a Kharif produce in the northern India where it is mostly grown as a fodder crop. So in northern India this is utilized as a fodder crop, and this jar can also be used as in making the dough, the roti, and other kind of foods. Uh, Depending upon it, it is also boiled and consumed. So that is about its consumption in the it is consumed both by the humans, and it is a good source for the fodder of these cattle. South of Vindhyachal, it is rain-fed crop, and it yields the yield is very low in this region. So south of Vindhyachal, the yield is very low of this jowar crop. And UPSC is asking about all these rainwater conservation and the crops associated with the arid regions and those regions which are not having significant rainfall. So you should be clear about thorough about these kind of conceptions. Again, this is about this MCQ is about the manganese, the element of manganese. Consider the following statements about the manganese. It is required for the production of steel. Yes, for the alloying of the steel and strengthening the properties of this steel, this manganese is required. It is constituent of the steel alloy. So it is also used to manufacture bleaching powder. This is also a characteristic of the element of manganese. So both the options are correct, and there are other elements like chromium. They can also be used for alloying the steel, and we have already discussed about the production of steel and iron ore. We have taken up in our last video about the production of iron ore in India and how Supreme Court banned it in 2012, the production of iron ore in Ratnagiri and Goa. And then there was some limited permission from the courts about the limited exploitation of the iron ore. So that is in continuation with that concept. Let's read the explanation. Both the options are correct. The manganese is required for the production of steel. The manganese can also be used for the manufacturing of bleaching powder. So manganese is mainly used in the manufacture of steel and ferrous manganese alloy. Nearly 10 kg of manganese is required to manufacture 1 ton of steel. It is also used in manufacturing bleaching powder, insecticides, and paints. So these are the other applications of manganese. In steel making, impurities such as nitrogen, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, and excess carbon are removed from the raw iron, and alloying elements such as manganese. So other elements are nickel, chromium, vanadium are added to produce different grades of steel. So basically, we have seen the chromium grade steel in most of the automobiles. They are functioning, so that is again that enhances the quality of steel produced. So different grades of steel have different kind of alloys and different kinds of elements, like ranging from manganese, nickel, and their different proportions as well. This was about the alloying of the steel. We have taken up the production, the ores associated with the production of iron and steel. Which of the following is true in context of Western disturbance? Western disturbance, we have taken up one question, and it affects India during the winter season, mostly the northern India, and it originates from the Mediterranean Sea. All these waves, they carry the moisture toward the Indian subcontinent. So options are: Western disturbance originate in the Mediterranean region. This is true. Himalaya inhibits means it stops its progress in Indian subcontinent. This is also true because there is Himalaya. It is huge Himalaya which stops that not only stops the western disturbance. Himalaya is also critical in making India one of the hottest area to live because of it stops the Siberian cold waves to enter the Indian subcontinent. So these are the characteristics of Himalaya in context of particular type of climate being found in India. So it inhibits the progression of western disturbance in Indian subcontinent. This is also true. Over the Indo-Gangetic plains, these western disturbance, they occasionally bring cold wave conditions. This is true because it originates in the Mediterranean and brings the moisture and cold wave conditions in Indo-Gangetic plains. So all the options are correct. Let's move on to read the explanation. Western disturbance originates in Mediterranean region. We have studied in our previous MCQs as well. A high pressure area over the Ukraine and neighboring consolidates, causing the intrusion of cold air from polar regions towards an area of relatively warmer and air with high moisture. So they create the intrusion of cold waves from the polar regions, these western disturbance. They carry those kind of cold winds towards the India, traveling at the speed of around 43 kilometers per hour. These disturbances move towards the Indian subcontinent until the Himalaya inhibits its development, upon which the depression rapidly weakens. So this is about one of the characteristic of Himalaya in producing that particular kind of climate in India. Over the Indo-Gangetic plains, they occasionally bring cold wave conditions and dense fog. So that dense sudden fog, they are during the month of October and November, especially if you are in Delhi, you have experienced this kind of sudden fogging. That is one of the uh, implication of these western disturbances carrying to the Indian subcontinent. So that was again kind of revision about the western disturbance. Now this is All India Full Mock Test Series 2018. We are going to conduct 5 full mock tests for GS Paper 1. This is absolutely free. We are conducting it in both classroom and online mode. Our classroom mode will be conducted in Delhi, and there are about 200 seats, and these seats will be filled on the first come first serve basis. We will provide you with the explanations and similar MCQs which are very similar to the UPSC, and will also cover the significant proportions of current affairs. So if you are in Delhi, you can just drop in an email, or you can contact us on the particular phone number mentioned in the website for your the registration to this free full mock test series. This is an opportunity. You should utilize this if you are in Delhi, or you can utilize it if you want to practice it online as well. So let's move on to question number 6. A human safari controversy. This is one of the uh, thing in the recent years. In I guess this controversy erupted in 2012, where these foreigners, they were clicking the photos and they were considering this touring to these areas of tribal groupings as their safari, as their human safari. So this was a kind of controversy because any commercial exploitation of cultural differences, that is subject to the controversy. So, a human safari controversy over semi-nude dances by the member of one of the most primitive tribal groups. So, in Odisha, primitive tribal groups grouping questions we have discussed in our previous MCQ about those their special requirements and their low level of literacy, their low growth rate of population, and absence of any language. So this let's read this question. In Odisha's Malkangiri district had led to an undeclared ban being imposed on the entry of outsiders into the tribal hamlets. And the tribals in question is Bonda, Limbo, Kabri, Dongaria. So this option is obviously associated with the tribes of Odisha's Malkangiri district. The tribes are Bonda tribes, and this news was around 2012, this news erupted. The Bonda are the most primitive tribal groups in Odisha according to the census 2011. Bonda tribes have a population of less than 12,000. So their population is very fragile, and a human safari controversy over the semi-nude dances by the members of one of the most primitive tribal groups in Odisha's Malkangiri district had recently led to an undeclared ban being imposed on the entry of outsiders into the tribal hamlets. The Odisha government has acted after the advertisement on the internet by certain travel operators offering to display the Bonda tribal people. So these commercial exploiters, the travel operators, they were offering the foreigners the exposure to the human safari. Means they were considering the tribal groups as human safari. So this was kind of, we can see this the foreigners here with the tribal peoples of Bonda tribes of Odisha. So of the offer involved entertainment for the tourists provided by tribals, which are scantily clad and sporting heavily beaded and thick silver neck bands. So this was about the controversy. You should be able to recall the names of the tribes associated and different types of tribes. So this was the Bonda tribe of Odisha, which was subjected to this human safari controversy. And let's move on to question number 7. Consider the following about the continental drift theory proposed by Wagner. So it was the theory that continents are not stable and they were a part of one singular continent and that broke apart and then started moving. So let's study the implications of this continental drift theory. And the theory proposed certain facts, certain obvious reasons for its support. So it is responsible for the diversity in animal species. The continental drift affects the Earth's climate. Both the options seem correct because if we consider the continental drift theory to be of importance, then the movement of continents is obviously going to create a diversity in the regions, spreading up of the continent to different regions of the uh, Earth will expose it to different climatic conditions, which hence will create the diversity in the animal or plant species as well. So first option is correct. Second is the it affects the Earth's climate. Obviously, the different locations of different continents will change the climatic conditions of Earth as well, the local climate and overall climate. So both the options are correct. Let's read the explanation, and there is a diagram particularly. So these are in the this diagram is in the support of this continental drift theory, in which different type of reptiles were found and their fossils were found in similar areas. So these areas represent their similarities. For example, this fern is found in all the green shade area, so on all these continents. So this is one of the evidences, and then there are evidences of finding polymetallic nodules of gold mines in Ghana and the polymetallic nodules in Brazil. So that is also again in the support of this continental drift theory. Let's read the explanation carefully. Continental drift has affected the evolution of animals, the world geographical positions, the world's climate. Continental drift affects the Earth's climate mainly because of three factors. So these factors are the net poleward movement of the continents, Antarctic cooling, and changing of ocean current. So ocean current is one of the important characteristics in controlling the climate of the Earth. For example, the water around New Zealand's South Island cooled to 20 degrees at the beginning of Eocene about 53 million years ago to about 17 degrees during the 30 to 40 mbp, then cooled to the present 12 degrees Celsius. The rearrangement and displacements of huge land masses have helped in creating the diversity which we see present in the modern day animals. Without these effects, the life present on the earth today would have been very different. So this movement created a diversity in the animals and plant species, and it created the changes in climate conditions, led polar movements, and the Antarctic cooling, and the changing brought in by the circulation of ocean currents. So this was one important concept where it has many implications for our further MCQs as well. For example, what could be the implications of the circulating ocean currents? They control the temperature and climate of the Earth. So there are different implications of this continental drift theory and learnings also. Which of the following is are correct about the Indian coal? So Indian coal, we have taken up that Gondwana land has about 99% of coal deposits in India, and the coal is not of purest quality. The purest quality coal is known as anthracite, where bitumen is bituminous coal is not so pure, and India's coal is mostly bituminous. And let's read the option. It has India's coal has high uh, content of ash content. So and it has a high degree of ash content melting around 12,000 degrees. So let's read the uh, options first. India's coal's sulfur content is high. Actually, sulfur content in Indian coal is quite low. So there is no need of desulfurization of Indian coal. But this Indian coal is not so pure, so it cannot be utilized in the steel manufacturing. So we have to import the coking coals, and this is one of the favorite topics where UPSC frames questions significantly. That why do, despite having good amount of coal reserves, why do we import the coal for steel production? because of the quality of our Indian coal. It is not of coking grade because steel production requires high degree of purity in the coal, and that coal is known as the coking coal for steel. So we lack that coking coal. That's why we have to import the coking coal. Now read the options. Let's read the options. Indian coal sulfur content is high. This is wrong. Indian coal is high in ash content. This is correct. Indian coal has high ash fusion temperature. This is also correct. So second and third options are correct, while first option is not correct. So answer would be 2 and 3. The most significant characteristic of Indian coal is its high ash content, which varies around 35 to 45%. So a lot of ash is there, and this coal ash is also utilized by now being utilized by different state governments. So that is another area where UPSC can ask you in the prelims or mains also about the ash utilization policies of different states of India. So compared with that of the coal in other parts of world, which is around 15%. So this ash content of Indian coal is quite high. It's about 35 to 45%. Besides high ash content, Indian coal has high ash fusion temperature. So it is the temperature fusion temperature is around 1500 degrees. So it's very high melting fusion temperature. However, Indian coal's sulfur content is low. It's about 0.5%. So there is no need of desulfurization before using this coal. So from the gas cleanup perspective, the flue gas desulfurization, that is removal of SOx and NOx. So sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide system is not economically justifiable in context of Indian coal, and therefore not important also because 0.5% of sulfur is not so much significant to be desulfurized. Also in the Indian context, it is unnecessary to meet these kind of emission norms. So there are special emission control zones, especially in Europe, where there is so much strict control of production of SOx and NOx from automobiles, from heavy moving of these vehicles, trucks, and ships, where you have the strict desulfurization norms, and your fuel should not contain certain specific amount of more than a specific amount of sulfur or nitrogen. So that was about, and India does not require such stringent norms. So this was about the Indian coal, particularly the content is ash content is high in Indian coal and sulfur content is low. Let's move on to question number 9. Which of the following contains the highest percentage of fresh water on the earth after the glaciers and ice caps? So there is a diagram in which almost 97% of the water is the seawater, that is salt water, that is saline, and the fresh water is mostly is the highest percentage of fresh water is captured in the glaciers and ice caps. And after that they are asking after that, so you should also be familiar about the chronology. And the options are soil, atmosphere, groundwater, and lakes. So the correct option would be groundwater. After the glaciers and ice caps, the highest proportion of fresh water on earth is being uh, highest percentage is being contained by the groundwater, not the lakes or the soil. So there is a chronology. You should this is from the right from the NCRT. We have given these facts, so you can rely on these. On the planet Earth, most of the fresh water exists in ice caps and glaciers. Out of the remaining fresh water, so the largest proportion of groundwater. So this is the proportion exist in groundwater. Yeah, it means that after glacier, the second largest proportion of fresh water is in groundwater. This is the distribution. Around 96.25% is ocean saline water. The remaining is the fresh water, which is being distributed as such. Like ice caps and glaciers have 2.05 percentage, and then groundwater has 0.68, and the lakes have 0.01. Soil moisture is 0.005, and atmosphere is 0.001% of fresh water. So this diagram also illustrates the distribution of Earth's water. And remember that this is all 100%. The first diagram is representing the 100%. That is 100% out of 100%. 97% is saline, that is contained in the ocean. The remaining 3% is almost 3% is fresh water, which has the following distribution. About 68.7% of the remaining water is glaciers and ice caps, and other major proportion is the 30% is groundwater, and other remaining 0.9% has this the surface water, in which rivers, swamps, lakes are there. So major proportion would be like saline water 97%, and remaining 3% has glaciers, and then groundwater, and then the remaining ones, the lakes. After groundwater, the highest content of fresh water is in the lakes. That was one important concept UPSC keeps on asking you and confusing the aspirants in this scenario, whether it is about the saline water or the fresh water, and the proportions and their the sequencing, their increasing or decreasing order. You should be familiar about this. Atmosphere contains very less amount of fresh water, so it is among the last in the chart. So this is the today's last question. Which of the following is are correct regarding the groundnut production in India? So it's about like India produces more than half of world's groundnut. More than half is not correct. India produces a quite high amount of groundnut proportion, but not half. It's about 20%. Second option is groundnut is shown only in the Rabi season. This is also not correct. It can be shown in both the seasons. And so let's read the explanations. Both the options are incorrect. India produces about 18.8%. Almost 20% of world's groundnut production is being produced by India. It is largely the rain-fed kharif crop, so not the rabi. Second option is incorrect. Largely the rain-fed kharif crop of the dry lands. But in southern India, it is cultivated during rabi season as well. It covers about 3.6% of total crop area in the country. So the leading producers are Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Maharashtra are the leading producers. The yield of groundnut is comparatively high in Tamil Nadu, where it is partly irrigated. But so they are giving the partial irrigation to the this all already being shown in the rain deficient dry lands. This groundnut is, but the Tamil Nadu is partly irrigating it also. But its yield is low in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, and Karnataka. So that was about the proportion of groundnut production in India versus the world, and which seasons, mostly in the Kharif season, but can also be cultivated in the Rabi seasons. So friends, it's all about from today's 10 MCQ challenge regarding the geography subsection. We hope you have benefited from this, and stay tuned for more such interesting and challenging MCQ challenges, and hope you like this. Subscribe to our channel so that you never miss any updates. Have a good day. Thank you.